And part of this bridging from capitalism is merging the magical and the logical, merging the sun and the lunar. Everything in your chart is intended to support the full expression of your conscious sun. And we come back to the sun again, right? Not only biologically connect to it, connect to the sunrise and the sunset, but also you have a very unique expression of what you're here to fully express and shine about.
Hello, today's episode is so delicious and divine. When Asha Ramakrishna walked into my podcast studio, I could just feel that we were suddenly in a portal, and you'll hear about that at the beginning of the episode. So she is the steward of an incredible body of work called Sacred Commerce, which is a bridge from where we are now with a version of capitalism that certainly does not work for everyone. And it is a bridge to a more beautiful economic possibility for us all. So in this episode, we talk about the 4 ethos of sacred commerce, one of which is it actually spiritual to be wealthy? And she says yes, and we'll find out why. We also talk about how to decode your specific instructions for stewarding the work that wants to come through you in this lifetime in a very specific way that is unique to you, using both Vedic astrology and human design as supporting bodies of work for that. Asha is a priestess. She has a background in molecular biology and business development. She is the best-selling author of Awakening the Modern Woman, the Priestess Code, Awakening the Modern Woman, and also the co-author of Your Soul Map, Liberation, Human Design, and the BIPOC Experience that she co-wrote with A.C. Brown. She is a modern day priestess. She is delicious. She is fascinating. And I cannot wait for you to expand into sacred commerce with Asha. Welcome to Plenty. I'm your host, Kate Northrup, and together we are going on a journey to help you have an incredible relationship with money, time, and energy, and to have abundance on every possible level. Every week, we're going to dive in with experts and insights to help you unlock a life of plenty. Let's go fill our cups.
Please note that the opinions and perspectives of the guests on the Plenty podcast are not necessarily reflective of the opinions and perspectives of Kate Northrup or anyone who works within the Kate Northrup brand.
Hey,
Welcome.
Thank you for being here. I'm so excited to dive in with you, Asha. Okay, so you walked in just now with an offering, and I feel like we're sitting in this little energetic portal because of several things that just happened in the last 10 minutes since you walked in the door.
Yeah.
And you were just saying before we started recording that you don't know why you're surprised that this was the offering. And so let's go.
Well,
What is happening?
I don't know why I was surprised that Blue Lotus is the offering for sacred commerce. But also it deeply landed because it merged not only the lineage where I know that much of sacred commerce began, or at least there's historical evidence that it was very alive. Spirituality, temples, priestessing, mystics, magicians were involved in commerce. And in Egypt, Blue Lotus is everywhere, right? It is part of the mythology and also the depiction of that transformation of from the muck, you know, sort of rise up to meet the sun. And as this plant meets the sun, it flowers. And in fact has an internal sun as well, right? Because the Blue Lotus is like purple, but then in the center is very yellow. And so anyway, so there's that connection, and then there's a connection with my Hindu tantric lineage. Sanatan Dharma is another name that's given to the philosophy. And that flower is part of a mystery that involves the womb, sacred sexuality, our ability to create, our ability to bring life and also bring death. And so it all kind of came together. And then I walked in with my Blue Lotus, like, let's have some tea, let's put some in your coffee. And then I see your dress. And I think it's like some of the flowers are Blue Lotus, and you're like, oh my God. And then you just ordered Blue Lotus essential oil.
Which was so interesting. And I didn't, quite frankly, until this moment, I knew nothing about Blue Lotus. So you're telling me currently everything I know. And I want to know more about, I love the universe goddess so much because you had reached out whenever you had reached out. And then we were back and forth about timing. And then this day worked for both of us. And here you are. We happen to be recording this. Well, that's not the day this goes live. We are recording it on a full moon eclipse in Virgo. And you also told me it's the day of Lakshmi. So, and she is connected to the Blue Lotus or no?
Well, she's the goddess of sustenance and wealth and
abundance.
Yeah. And so I think that we are really being supported in this conversation.
It's so cool.
And I mean, I'm so grateful for that because, as a steward of a body of work, you just kind of show up and you do your best to promote the thing that sometimes feels like it's a little ahead of its time, but then also you try to bring it so that it's accessible to people, right? It's like probably most of the people that work with you, right, are these people that are like such conscious people that have something really special to bring, and maybe they're a little ahead of their time.
Yeah.
and part of like the wrestling and the mystery of marketing, the thing that is ahead of its time is that you just really do have to wrestle with it, and you have to like pull from here and pull from here and pull from here. And like, okay, am I explaining it? Am I, I think it's less that, I mean, sometimes it can be that people are shy to be visible. But I think it's more that some of these people just have such a deep service, purpose, dharma, that it lives in many realms of the mystery. And so you're trying to like pull from the 12th dimension and, and then like, how do I make it so that someone who's here in this dimension, in this moment, who's contending with like very alive things like kids being around and,
Totally, like applesauce stains.
Applesauce in the chair and living and tending to our families and all this kind of stuff. Like, how do we remember that these other realms are also here to be of service to?
And as I'm listening to you, what I'm so aware of is that as business owners, as people who are marketing, what you were saying is you're here to steward this particular body of work. And right now it's around sacred commerce. And we're going to dive into what that means and what are the elements and how we can bring that into our own lives and businesses and lives, whether we have businesses or not. And what I'm aware of is that, marketing can feel to me sometimes very, like, I don't want to say robotic is not the word, but it can just feel very 3D. And I love marketing. Mm-hmm. I love it. But the part of it I love is what you are touching on, which is being a weaver between the unseen and the seen. And actually understanding that as someone who is bringing a body of work to the world and stewarding that body of work, that it is our responsibility to speak on behalf of what is wanting to come and further our culture forward in a particular way. And for some people, they are going to just be really ahead of the curve. And so it may not like super hit in this lifetime in the way that, Goop did, like, let's say, like, right, like the vagina, like this candle smells like my vagina, right? Like that was like a moment in time that wouldn't have worked in the 60s. I'm sure somebody had an idea, but like, right, like it worked in 20 whatever when, Gwyneth Paltrow came out with that candle. And I'm sure somebody on her team came up with the idea, but like, right. So I'm just excited about this idea that we can, our personality selves, our ego selves can step further into the background to be able to steward these bodies of work and speak on behalf of them, on behalf of the divine, not so much on behalf of like, hey, I want to be visible, but it's like, no. Sacred commerce needs to be out here for more people. So like, let me do everything I can do on the human sphere to support that.
Yeah. It's really the priestessing of a body of work. And, I want to come back to what you said about being ahead of our time, right? Because I will say that this body of work came to me in 2015. 2015. And I started bringing it out, but it also needed to grow with me, grow with the way that I was looking at businesses. So different kinds of businesses, the way that I supported different businesses, or the way that I was stewarding my own businesses. And there is something about the tenacity of continuing with the thing that it may not feel like it's fully cooked, but it's gonna be.
And so if you don't mind telling us, what is sacred commerce?
Okay, so I knew you were gonna ask me that.
And answer in whatever way you want. You could answer in an interpretive dance.
And I think I didn't sleep because I was like, how am I going to answer this? But something.
And luckily, we have the whole episode to answer that question.
All right, beautiful. Because yesterday, you and I had a conversation about personal decisions that we were making. And you said, it's a feeling. And you didn't need to say anything. Right? Because it stuck with me because what I felt was that you pulled from a realm and you couldn't unfeel that thing. And in many ways, sacred commerce is that because it is this emergent thing. Part of what we're proposing here is that we know that, capitalism doesn't exactly work for everybody. Right? It's not meant to, first of all. Yeah. It's wasn't structured to work for everybody. It was meant to benefit certain people, right? And so what I'm proposing is a bridge because we can't also, many of us don't have the privilege of saying, well, I'm opting out, peace out. I can't, I'm not doing this. I'm going to like have a homestead and like I'm putting kids through college. I'm taking care of my mom. And there are these, and also I don't want my kids to be responsible for me when I'm in my, eldership years. And so I have a personal responsibility to be in the system, but also help evolve it. Because like any evolutionary process, it takes time, right? And you have to plant the right seeds at the right time sometimes. And if it's not the right time, we'll keep watering the thing. And maybe you get somebody to like put fertilizer in and collaborating. And the symbiosis allows for the thing that felt like it was ahead of its time for other people to be like, oh, now it's ripe. Like now is the right time. So that feeling is really about a few things. That we get to feel good. And I think that's a lot of your work too, right? Is teaching people how to have harmonious nervous systems,
Yeah.
right?
That actually it is our bodies, especially as women, but all humans' bodies are designed for pleasure.
Yeah.
That's actually the way we were designed. We have an entire organ in the female body dedicated to pleasure. That's its only function.
Wow.
Right? Like that's
Yeah.
the clitoris.
Yeah.
Why is it that we would be born that way if we weren't meant to feel good?
Yeah.
And yet, so many thousands of years of religious programming, of all sorts of patriarchal indoctrination have conditioned us to believe that suffering buys us something and that a certain amount of suffering is required in order to, quote unquote, earn the right to feel good.
Yeah.
Right. And then there's all the, the years of oppression and it's a quagmire. And yet, feeling good is part of the metabolism
Yeah.
of that history.
Yeah.
And I'm curious with the Blue Lotus.
Because it is an aphrodisiac.
Oh,
Yeah.
really?
Yeah.
Cool.
I know.
That's so interesting.
I know.
Okay, so as we draw up to be born in the mud, in the muck, in the darkness, which we all were born in the dark, right? Like that's where we all come from. There's an element of then coming into the sun, blossoming, becoming that flower, and that there's some inherent property in that actually turns on our pleasure centers. Am I understanding this correctly?
So I guess I would say that, I mean, it's a big mystery, right?
Yeah, which is the best.
Because part of my uncovering in leading pilgrimages to Egypt and India is really being a student of what have people done before.
Yes.
I am not one, as much as we can romanticize the ways of the past, I think it's beautiful, and there's a part that we do need to sort of connect to that. There's also a reason why it's not, why certain traditions or certain ways of being are not current right now.
Thank you for the sanity of that. I just really want to earmark how sane that is, because there is such a tendency to just be like, oh no, it was better. Oh no, it was, and it's like, yeah, well, it's not happening now, and there's probably a good reason.
Yeah, there probably is a good reason, and also because this is the time that we live in now.
Right. So let's be here.
So it's like, what would we do? Kate and I would just have our temple in Miami, and we would make offerings. And no, we have to be with the people. We have to seduce people into loving God is what I say is my job.
I love that.
Right? It's like, come over here. This is so nice. Have some tea.
So good. It's so good.
But the mystery of the sun, actually, there's like a biological reasons there
great.
too, which I think you've also been connected to, is like how much we have been kept from being in the sun.
Oh,
and how that
don't
is
even
actually
get me started on the American Dermatological Society and how they have vilified the sun. Now, obviously, sure, clearly I'm somebody who needs to wear sunscreen, but not as much as we think.
Yeah,
right?
we need the sun.
Need the sun. It's metabolically important.
Exactly. To start our day, to end our day, to regulate our hormone cascade, especially
to feed our
as
mitochondria.
To feed the mitochondria. Yeah, so there's a lot of biological things that I think these mysteries speak of without speaking of them, and that we can be observers of those mysteries and utilize elements that make sense,
I love that.
Yeah.
On this day of Lakshmi.
Yeah.
Which I feel is just
A blessing.
such a blessing. I would love to. So sacred commerce, it sounds like, was before its time in 2015.
Mm-hmm.
It really is a bridge between our current system of capitalism and a more beautiful future that works for more people.
That works for more people. So the first ethos is feel good. The second ethos is be wealthy.
Wow. And what does that mean?
Yeah. So I think it gets to mean whatever you want it to mean for you. That's the beauty of an emergent methodology, right, is that you get to define what wealth is for you without romanticizing, over spiritualizing abundance and like being like, but my bank account says negative, but I'm abundant. Yes, my love, we are. And also, we need to materialize that realm. So it's kind of actually, it's really about bringing the other realms, the other dimensions down into this 3D realm so that it can be an overflow, so that our normal lives can be an overflow. So the way that I am proposing, I think that each person does need to have permission to create the kind of wealth that they want. It's a lot of what I think I do. It's like, you have permission to be wealthy. You have permission to make that much money. You have permission to put that much money away. You have permission to invest that much, right? It's okay for us to do this. That does not make us less spiritual.
Yeah.
It doesn't. It actually, I mean, I'm so happy that I get to provide for my family. It brings me a lot of joy. And I know that when we're like a little bit tumbling, and my daughters feel it. And it's okay, as long as we have these like very honest dialogues about what this means. This doesn't define us. This moment doesn't define us, because there's like, you know, buckets of money just waiting for us right around the corner. So anyway, the way that I'm proposing that wealth can happen is by us looking at what is wealth and dharma. And in this Sanatan Dharma, there are these 4 fulfillments of the soul. One is dharma, which is purpose or values. 2 is artha, which is actually wealth. 3rd is kama, which is pleasure, right? It's like you got to be on purpose, you got to have money, then you can enjoy the money. That's the energy of Lakshmi. It's the enjoyment of what is, too. And then finally is the liberation or moksha, which I think traditionally they believe that it's more like when you pass to the next realm. But I think that there is a conversation that we can have about what liberation looks like right now.
Yeah.
And so knowing your dharma, knowing what that purpose archetype is for you, that you're here to wrestle with, to contend with, to sort of bring from the other realms, is an important piece. The other piece is we use astrology, and you can use other ways of knowing yourself, but it's really about knowing yourself. Knowing yourself and what actually makes the most sense for you to customize the way you speak about what you are a steward of, which, like, human design is amazing.
To customize the way you speak about what you are a steward of. So it's like, basically there's a specific way that we were all cosmically, divinely designed for, to speak on behalf of this particular body of work. And there are actually instructions for that, and they can be found in astrology. I know you're a student of Vedic astrology. They can be found in human design. And I want to come back to those things. So I'm putting a pin there because we're going deep there. But I want to go back because you said part of ethos number 2 is being wealthy.
Yeah.
And you really give people permission. Yes, like, you get to have that amount of money. You get to invest that. You get to be able to support your family. You get to be able to send your kids to college. You get to create wealth. No, it doesn't make you not spiritual to do those things. I want to dig in a little bit there because there's so much that comes up for people around, is it okay?
Yeah.
Do I get to thrive? And does my thriving automatically detract from someone else's ability to be wealthy? What do you think?
Well, I mean, I think we're just like stepping into ethos number 3, which is give back.
Okay, perfect.
But give back is not just about giving to charities. It's actually about widening the scope of where you source energy from. Because I think in this personal brand arena that we're all in.
What even is
I'm like,
this?
why do people want to see my photo? Another photo of me on this thing? And they're like, yes, they want that. I'm like, okay.
Isn't it wild and weird? It's super weird. But if we can sort of be like, okay, I'm the spokesperson for this body of
Fair.
work, then it can just be like,
Fair.
cool, just
Yeah.
use my face, I
Yeah,
guess.
exactly.
Weird.
But why? So in this like kind of way of thinking about personal brands, we also have been tapping into a limited source of our energy, which is ourselves.
Yeah.
That's it. It's me. How much energy do I have? Do I have enough time? Do I have the capacity? What's happening to my kids? What's happening politically? Like, how do I contend with that? And so when we are only sourcing from ourselves, then we're like, I can't watch the news. And then we're like not paying attention to what's happening around the globe and what's happening to our siblings in other countries that we should be paying attention because we contribute to either the well-being or not of other nations, right? And so in this giving back, what I'm proposing in widening the scope is actually bringing it to ceremony as a way to tapping into other realms, other assistance, so that we open the Akash or the records of all of life and say, and the Akash says, oh, you need something from the 3D realm. Let me help you with that. And then, you get your Blue Lotus that you're like, I have to get this thing.
Yeah. So like, I don't know why.
And I think that people even listening to this know what I'm talking about.
Totally.
Right? It's like the thing shows up and you're like, oh, I was actually thinking about that. But there are other realms also that are not as obvious. And so these other realms get to support us. Maybe, when you were talking about the goop thing and you said it was probably somebody in her team that brought this idea, that is being sourced from another realm.
Right. Yeah, I mean, and who knows? Maybe it was Gwyneth, but regardless, and I want to say here that for those listening where it's like, okay, so Asha, we schedule the day today. I have no idea it's the day of Lakshmi. I know nothing about Blue Lotus. I happen to order Blue Lotus. I wear a dress with Blue Lotus. Asha has this beautiful tattoo of Blue Lotus on her hand. She brings the Blue Lotus offering because it is the offering of sacred commerce, and this body of work is really ripe. And so there's this invitation that's always available, and like this can be our daily lives. I imagine this sort of thing happens to you all the time. Like for some people, it's like, oh, that sort of thing is just like
weird.
Random coincidence. Oh, weird. That one time 10 years ago yeah. No, like I imagine that's how you live. Is that true?
I mean, for some of the time.
For some of the time, right, of course.
I mean,
Same.
I have my moments, right?
Right.
Yeah.
But it's like this could be our way, like being that supported by all the unseen realms. It could be that easy, which goes back to feel good.
I think I deeply believe that this is the way. I deeply believe that this is the way. And I am in pursuit of how that gets to be more and more and more for me, for my loved ones, and for people who I impact. It's the belief, it's the feeling. We go back to feeling. I believe there can be another way. And I wanted to come back to what you said about like all the things that surface, coming back to like, oh, be wealthy, like, ugh, right?
Yeah.
I come from Venezuela, so I'm Indian in Venezuela, and many of us who are immigrants have this like survival guilt, this sort of like, I'm doing well, and then if like we have family members watching us on social media, it's like, what?
Yeah.
You live that way? And I think that happens even if you're not an immigrant, right? If you're aware of the world, you know that the way that you live is encompasses privilege, encompasses blessings, and we don't know what to do with that part of life that is a Lakshmi, opposite of Lakshmi.
Okay.
Right? that is devoid of feeling gratitude, that is devoid of feeling the pleasures of life. And it's a complex thing to address for sure in a podcast episode, in one conversation.
You could write a full dissertation
around all of this. And I still believe that it is our birthright to be wealthy. And so the more and more people who believe this, who have this feeling, I may, in this moment, my bank account may look a certain way, but I have this feeling that I am meant to embody Lakshmi. The more and more and more people who ground that realm of Lakshmi, the more that we start solving this. Now, that doesn't mean that you're on your own, right?
Like I'm doing Lakshmi over here, you do you. Like, that's not what you're saying.
I mean, I'm a little saying that, but I'm also saying because you've widened the scope, because it's not just about you as an individual, both from an energetic standpoint and also from a financial standpoint, widen that scope too.
Yeah.
Widen the scope of like, what do you want to contribute to flourishing in life, right? For me, it's buying land back. We've started as a family to buy land for conservation, but I really want to be on the trajectory of buying land back for indigenous tribes. That's my huge why, right? Like I have my immediate whys of like retirement, college, but that huge why is like, oh, I'd love to be a part of freeing lands.
And is that in the United States? Is that globally?
We started in our backyard, literally in our backyard. Like we got together with neighbors and we bought 10 acres. Wow. So that it's conservation land. Amazing. So it benefits everybody, right?
Yes, it does.
Green benefits everybody. And then the next...
let's just talk about oxygen.
Yes.
It's basic.
Yes. And freeing it up so that not another house gets built. Like, do we really need more houses built? I don't know. Actually,
we don't. There's currently today, there's more inventory than necessary in certain markets. I mean, of course, that's that is a vast oversimplification. But I also want to say for anyone listening who's still got the little like, I don't know, the data actually does show us that there are enough resources on planet Earth for everyone to live a good life. This is true. This is in the book, The Sum of Us by Heather McGhee. This is in the book, The Soul of Money. It speaks to Buckminster Fuller's work. And so I just want to say that because it is a beautiful spiritual principle that the zero-sum model is not true. And actually, it is true that there are enough resources. Now, the way resources are used, the distribution of resources, like that all are systems that need to be reinvented. But for anybody just curious, there's enough.
There's enough.
And my thriving actually literally, right? Like even in the way the banking system works in the United States, right? When I earn money and I put it in the bank, it literally immediately goes out to be loaned to somebody else. Like that's how banking works. So literally when money comes into me, it unless I'm keeping it under my mattress, which I'm not, that would be ridiculous. It is going immediately.
It's circulating.
It is circulating.
In
even if I'm just
circulating.
keeping it in my high yield savings account, right? Yeah. Like it's high yield because they're lending it out to somebody else to then use it for their business, for their mortgage, for their, who even knows what. That's so cool. Not to mention the fact that, of course, it blesses your children they're going to college. Now they're going to bless other people with their vocations and their presence and, and being able to hire people and being able to create an incredible work environment where people can take enough time off and be with their families and go to the soccer game at 3 p.m. Like all that stuff. Like it really does matter. Those sorts of things are abundance, like far beyond money in your bank account is time, is joy.
Of course.
Okay. So we got to ethos 3.
Yeah.
I want to know, do you want to go deeper into the layers of sacred commerce, or do we want to circle back to Vedic astrology and human design and getting the instructions for how you are meant to bring your body of work to the world?
I think the final thing I would say about giving back is that part of bridging from capitalism is that in that widening of the scope, also having us think of what do I want to contribute in? What do I want to amplify in this world?
Yeah.
And giving of our energy or of our ecosystem that we build to support that as a part of it. Even the notion of using an offering for a body of work plugs me into a certain plant.
It's so good.
Right? Even that. And so then, even if I don't know everything there is to know about Blue Lotus, my curiosity is piqued.
Yeah.
Year after year after year. I mean, it's been at least 5 years that I've been in the mystery of the Blue Lotus, and I just found out like 2 weeks ago that it definitely has a component in my lineage that relates to the womb, that relates to the sacred sexuality, that relates to purifying all the things that we hold as human and soul beings that have lived through things, and we're carrying certain things, and it has part of its role is the purification of that. So I also think that, part of its role is also to anoint us with pleasure, with power, with wealth. And what does it mean when we broaden that scope and say, I'm a steward of that for beyond just myself?
Right. Like on behalf of my corner of the universe, I'm doing this. Yeah. And what's so cool about an offering that is a living being, like a flower, is that there is an essence. There is a frequency. So whether you are mentally knowing all the things about Blue Lotus or not, and of course, like you're learning every day, it's working no matter what. And that's what's so powerful about essential oils, about offerings, about working with these different essences. They are working on us.
Yeah.
Without us needing really to do a whole lot about it, which I really love because it breaks down the construct of like, I'm only valuable, I'm only doing something, I'm only valuable, I'm only worthy if I'm doing, right? It can be done for us
me.
And through us.
And I also want to bring up that every body of work that someone is stewarding is working at different realms. Therefore, there probably is an offering for your body of work and for someone else's body of work.
And how might someone connect with that? Like if I wanted to connect in with the offering related to relaxed money, how might I start with that?
Yeah. I mean, my eyes went to your flower.
That was brought by a guest last week on the podcast. She just showed up with a flower. It was so nice. What is that flower? I'm not good at that. My mom's really amazing at that.
I want to say chrysanthemum, but no, right? I don't know.
Maybe. I don't know. I'll text my mom a photo later and ask her.
But I think it's first starting with curiosity.
Great.
It's okay to not get it right the first time. It's like, I think starting with the basics is always good, right? Frankincense, gold, myrrh. Start with those. And
the three kings.
Queens, whatever,
the
magicians,
exactly,
right? The three magicians.
The Magi.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Start with those.
Great. I love that.
Yeah. And then, for people who are connected to Mary Magdalene, then it's spikenard.
Oh.
Right? So start with that. Like whatever it is that feels like it's a part of you, start with that.
Okay.
And then it gets to evolve and be like, you're playing in this realm of ceremony? Well, here's this other thing.
Right, because when you open the door,
Yes.
it then knows it's welcome.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, that's really cool. And we created this, I partnered with someone named Robin Jones to create a relaxed money blend that she's like, essentially like is an olfactory divination person. Like she's a nose diviner. And she was able to call in through her vast multi-decade knowledge of of plant vibration and essential oil. And also just because she's super psychic, she was able to call in the absolute perfect oils to create this relaxed money blend to be a quickening agent for the work. So it may be our offerings ever like multi-layered with many different, because maybe we already have it with the relaxed money blend.
Of course. And it gets to evolve. And maybe it's then like deciphering, well, what are the elements that are in the blend?
Right.
And what are those plants
Exactly.
or what
What
are
do they
those
mean
flowers?
and what's the energy?
Yeah. And then like bringing the physical, you know, because there's a distillation process with the oils, which is beautiful, but there's also something really beautiful about having the actual plant.
Oh,
you know?
I'm going to do that when I teach the program. I'm going to bring them into my space, like the physical plants of all of them. Thank you for that.
'Cause
That's
isn't
really
it nice?
powerful.
Isn't it beautiful to like just look at the petals, right?
so
If
stunning.
I were to put oil in there, which I
you
probably
don't
wouldn't,
see
but
it. Yeah, the Blue Lotus oil, I think, would
have
be
no idea,
like
but
maybe nasty to
but
taste.
but this kind of lets you tap into the other realm, the mystery of the thing.
Yeah, and to just be with it.
And to just be with it. And then it gets to inform you. It gets to inform you in your sleep. It gets to inform you when you're writing copy. It gets to inform you like when you're speaking into the camera. Like it gets to inform you in ways that, yes, our logical brains are not going to get. And part of this bridging from capitalism is merging the magical and the logical, merging the sun and the lunar, merging the heaven and the earth. It is about that because today one overrides the other.
100%.
So in order to bring back to harmony and to balance, we have to play with this. And do you notice that how quiet it got?
Uh-huh.
Like that is information.
Yeah.
I can't even believe how quiet it got. I have no idea what was making sound before, but something got really quiet as a way of even listening to that, leaning into that. Parts of us are like, oh, wait, what?
Yeah. And if we are paying attention, the universe is speaking at all times through everything.
Yeah.
So one of the ways that we are given instructions is through our astrological charts and through our human design.
Yeah.
And obviously, you have a vast knowledge of both of these systems. You co-wrote an incredible book about human design specifically, and you study Vedic astrology. And so I'm just curious, first of all, I'm going to sneeze. Hold on.
Salud.
Oh, you can just edit that out. I'm curious if you can invite us into how your knowledge of astrology, your knowledge of human design, how we can start to figure out what our instructions are using those modalities for sharing our body of work in specific ways that we're designed for. Because it's not, the way you would do it is not the same I would do it. And the problem with the internet is we can just see so much of what everyone else is doing, or at least a very curated version of it. And so it can really kick up this feeling of like, oh, they're doing it like that. That's working. I should do it like that.
Yeah.
And in fact, that's not our best place to start. Probably our own design and our own astrology is a much better grounding place.
I think it's a starting point. And I think a lot of Vedic astrologers differ in the way they see this. Like I just heard that this person that I really respect thinks that our astrology is 70% and our free will is 30%. And I'm like, I think it's the opposite. I think that our astrology is a starting point of when the moment we were born. And as we bring consciousness and truth and bliss, we get to explore evolution from that. So I think at any point, if astrology is boxing you in, that may not be the way to use it.
That's
It's
great.
meant to liberate you. It's meant to let you have a starting point. I just wanted to say that because I think that we can become so attached to whatever the thing is, and that we forget that actually what we're intended to do is to begin to liberate from the karmic cycle and come into a dharmic cycle. And how we come into a dharmic cycle, aside from knowing what your archetype is to work on in this lifetime, is also the exploration of the other archetypes within the chart. Now, that may not help somebody who's like, wait, okay, but let's come back. Let's come back, Asha. I want to bring that up because it's also about opening the scope of not tying you in. If at any point you feel tied or bound by your chart, I don't think it's the correct use.
Okay,
I think you're
great.
staying in a karmic cycle. So coming back, it gives, so when I look, the way that I interpret, the way that I look at, someone's business and the way they want to make money is I use the Vedic astrology chart to sort of understand the big soul messages. Mm-hmm. How you communicate, how you synthesize emotional and mental information, what you're here to bring forth and evolve. And then, human design is one of my loves. I came into human design 20 years ago, if you can believe that. My daughter was 3 years old. She's
Very early adopter.
Yes. But I was in a place, my daughter is a reflector, and I was in a place as a mother, like down on my knees of like, I don't know what to do with this kid. Like, we had essential oils, we had like lavender
All
baths,
the things, yeah.
we, dimming the lights, like we were doing everything. And this kid was still like, definitely not harmony. Wow. And her name's Dharma, by the way.
Of course it is.
So I was like, I left my job. I was like, how do I bring peace to my home? Wow. And someone said, have you tried human design? And I was like, no, bring it on. Like we were this short of going to Guatemala to go see a shaman,
Yep.
And I had and it was like back when it was like teleclasses.
Yep.
Right? So
I love a good teleseminar.
That was so fun, right?
Live for them.
And then I made the mistake of not the mistake, it was great. My partner, Glenn, was in the class, and it was all about raising kids using human design, and we were both on there, and, early on, we started learning about it. So for, I would say, the first 7 years, for me, it was just, I started seeing what I needed to do to bring harmony to the space. And then I took it to myself like, oh, okay, how does this work for me? How does this work for my marriage? And then people started asking me about business, like, how do I use that for business? And so that's kind of how it evolved. And for me, it's like, I love astrology, but there's something about human design for me that really makes it so specific and so practical. And it allows somebody to have an evolutionary process with a certain energy. Yeah. Even how you market, even who is attracted to you. Like whatever thing they're going through in life. Remember how yesterday I was saying to you, you're like, what's a 4-1?
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, I'm the kind of person that people come to when they're at a crossroads.
So
nice
you
to know.
That. Right. Yeah,
nice to know for your marketing.
Hang out a shingle
Are
that
you at a
talks
crossroads?
about that. Like it's so straightforward.
Yeah.
Okay. So, I think many people listening know about the high level types.
Yeah.
And then just, I know that this is like, again, we could talk for a year-long class about human design and business.
Yeah.
But if you were to give us one nugget that somebody could go look into in their own human design that would support them in their business, what might that be?
Beautiful. 2 things. First is taking a look at how many open centers you have and how many defined centers you have. The number of open centers speaks to your sensitivity to other people around you.
Okay.
And that's huge information, right? We're talking about nervous system, right? How do you source yourself so that you can show up to the thing that you steward? Where you have definition, you have consistency. So it's just kind of good to know, like, what's the balance here?
Okay.
Right? General. Second, maybe more super specific. So part of why I wanted to co-author that book, Your Soul Map, is I wanted to speak to the part of human design that is about re-indigenizing the parts. Because, human design really comes from the foundation of the I Ching, of the Hindu chakra system, of the Kabbalah, of quantum mechanics. And I wanted to re-indigenize those parts. And so to that, if you were to look at your whole chart, all the numbers, all the colors, like the lines, everything, just know that everything in your chart is intended to support the full expression of your conscious sun. And we come back to the sun again, right? Not only biologically connect to it, connect to the sunrise and the sunset, but also you have a very unique expression of what you're here to fully express and shine about. And all the other things get to support that.
And that's your conscious sun.
That's
is
your
what you're
conscious
here
sun.
to fully consciously
Yes.
express.
And you can get fancier and then
shining.
go to the unconscious side with
Okay.
the red numbers. You can do that. But that's the number one. Number two would be, within that specificity, would be to look at the incarnation cross, which is your conscious sun, conscious earth, unconscious sun, unconscious earth, and the play of those. The way that I propose people get to know that is by reading the stories of the I Ching. Because it's an oral tradition. It's like why people listen to this conversation versus like reading your blog about the thing.
Totally.
Right? There is an oral tradition. There is something that happens that emerges and that people go like, oh,
Right.
that's for me.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And when you read stories, even if we are, like, I don't have time for that. I don't have time for stories. We are transformed by stories.
Yeah, we are. And we remember them. It goes in a different part of our brain that it like gets through the front guards in a complete, like, it's like stories go in the back door or the side door. It's like the third door that it's just, you don't have to go through the velvet ropes. You don't have to wait in line. Like it's like not being guarded by the prefrontal cortex and all the logic and all the, right? It like goes in.
And from your work, why do you see that we have such a resistance to that?
To
Stories. To listening to stories.
I think it's because we've been conditioned to be hyper masculine and logical, and that like things need to make sense and things need to have a purpose and things need to be linear and things need to be informational and things need to have an immediate ROI, and we've lost touch with the mystery and we've lost touch with the results that are invisible. And so story is like, what's valuable about that? I mean, literally everything. But if we can't be like, oh, that's marketable in XYZ way and going to get you, an ROI of this, then it's like been cast out. And I'm so grateful to live at a time where we're just ending that, Okay. I love this so much. So the incarnation cross, and specifically, we would read the pieces of the I Ching that have to do with those particular numbers.
Yes.
When we go to and some people, I just want you to know, like, I know that some people are listening to this and have no freaking clue what we're talking about. And what you can do is you can read Asha's book and learn about this. And then you can also go do your research about the incarnation cross in your human design. And the information is out there. So let this be that initiation point. If you're feeling excited, even if you're confused, just learn more.
Yeah. And, as I'm right now teaching people how to be like level 1 human design readers, I was, I opened up my own book and I was like, actually, this is a really good resource, because in this resource, we look at high expression, low expression, and, a little bit more like nuggets here for marketers. You can look at those low expression, high expressions as the way that you educate people on bringing them from the low expression to high expression.
Cool.
Right?
Oh, I'm so excited about that. Okay, pulling out your book today to learn more. And you know what use case I'm thinking of as you're saying this? So I've been, and this is like fully on a whole different direction, but I've been training a Claude AI content creator assistant. And one of the ways I'm going to use this is to bring this information in to feed into my project knowledge database so that Claude, when they're helping me with my marketing and copy, can weave in my highest expression traits and also the bringing my people from their lowest expression into their highest expression in the way that I'm meant to do it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, that's a fun thing.
Yeah. Because I think sometimes when we're in our genius, we don't really actually know what we're doing.
I would say like nearly 100% of the time.
Yeah. So we don't know what we're doing. And so sometimes it's like we've got to look at a map and say like,
cool.
oh, that's who I am.
Yeah.
Like I don't really, by a certain seasoned age, you pretty much address some of the things in your unconscious side, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know. Maybe when you're 20, you don't know, and it's good information to have like, oh, this is what I'm growing into, right? I look at the conscious as like, you're fully aware, this is you, this is the part of you that you know, and then the unconscious is the part that life sort of presents to you so that you get to know.
Yeah. So beautiful. Okay.
Yes.
As we land the plane here, is there anything else that you would want people to know about sacred commerce and this body of work that you are currently ushering into the world, because now is its time?
Yeah, thank you. I do, even though the astrology can be like super sexy and so many layers to it, I really feel, deeply know that knowing the archetypal soul energy that you are here to embody is essential. When I received that I have the archetype of priestess, I was a molecular biologist. Like I was like, I don't know what that is, but I am deeply intrigued.
How did you receive that information?
So part of what I now do is that I offer people a way to know what your dharma type is. But at that time, I went to go see this karma healer who's a Sufi karma healer. My youngest was 2, and he said, "You are a priestess."
You're like, no, I'm a molecular
Yeah.
biologist.
I'm like, what? I am a struggling mother. Thank you very much.
That's amazing.
And 20 years later, my deep curiosity of what that meant in my day-to-day life, I don't have a life where I'm like, like my life requires a lot out of me, right? And weaving this mystical side with this very logical, pragmatic side was an endeavor. Maybe again, back to what we were saying, ahead of its time, but also the pursuit of the thing that is ahead of its time. Now it's like everyone's a priestess. Yay.
Right. I mean, maybe not everyone, maybe in our circles.
Yeah, maybe in our circle.
If 9 times out of 10, if you say you're a priestess, people are like, what?
What?
But yeah, 100%. Okay, that's really beautiful. So you do have that offering. And is that part of when somebody joins your mastermind, your Sacred Commerce Mastermind, is that something that they receive?
Yes. And it's also available for anyone too.
Great.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Amazing. That's really cool. That's
I'll
like
share
such
that
a
with you.
beautiful offering.
Yeah, because it's not about archetype work. It's about connecting to those other realms of what has my soul come here to be and express. And sometimes it's growing into that thing.
Yeah.
Like me,
Oh,
priestess.
yeah. Totally. So beautiful. Thank you for being here. Thank you for showing up on this day in particular. It feels really magical and mystical and just, really perfect. So if people want to connect with you, learn more, buy your book, join your things, where should they go? What should they do?
So if they want that dharma type, so the website, Asha is now,
Great.
and /soul,
Awesome.
SOUL.
We'll put it in the show notes.
Thank you. And then Instagram is where I really like putting the efforting of speaking about what sacred commerce is and how we can be seduced into bridging away from capitalism.
It's so exciting. It's so exciting. I'm really like thrilled to have a front row seat to what you are creating. It feels really resonant with me. So
Thank you.
Thank you for being here. Thanks for listening to this episode of Plenty. If you enjoyed it, make sure you subscribe, leave a rating, leave a review. That's one of the best ways that you can ensure to spread the abundance of plenty with others. You can even text it to a friend and tell them to listen in. And if you want even more support to expand your abundance, head over to katenorthrup.com/breakthroughs, where you can grab my free money breakthrough guide that details the biggest money breakthroughs from some of the top earning women I know, plus a mini lesson accompanying it with my own biggest money breakthroughs and a nervous system healing tool for you to expand your abundance. Again, that's over at katenorthrup.com/breakthroughs. See you next time.